So I wanted to make a video on what to do if you're hit with a negative link spam attack. This is something called a backlink audit that you perform. So what you do is you sign up for SEMrush because it's free, or use the free version of it. Don't use the paid because you don't have to. It's a good tool, but just saying for people who are starting, it's the first step is always free. Yeah, so SEMrush is pretty cool. And so what you do is you do what's called their backlink audit. You plug in your website stuff, and it'll make you plug in your URL, and it will scan it, and then it'll go through it, and we'll actually see who's linking to it. And usually you don't want to do much on the first scan. I would say do a scan, wait 7 days to your next free scan, and scan it again, and see if you have a change. Now, and then do it maybe another time, 2 weeks total, I would say. And if each time you do it, you're getting a bunch of weird links from the middle of nowhere, then what you should do is you should do a virtual machine, and if you can, or use a computer. You're not really going go over to Walmart and hop on their computer at their store, or go to the library and be like, I'm just gonna go check out all these websites. Maybe email it to yourself or something. But so you want to actually visit these sites and see what they look like. Now, SEMrush will give you what's called a trust score and what's called an authority score. Now, it's pretty simple how they do it because they color code them. Green is good, yellow is and red is bad. Now, typically, I'll only get rid of links that have a red, so bad trust score, and then a bad authority score. And an authority score is like how well connected it is. If it was like the New York Times, it might have 100. If it was a .gov website, it might have 100. So, a site can have a very high authority score, and if a site has a high authority score and like a high trust score, that's the best kind of site you can get. If a site has a high authority score and a medium trust score, that's still a good site. If a site has a high authority score and a low trust score, then you might want to look at it a little. But if authority score is generally pretty good, it means it's a pretty good site, so you probably can count on it. Though there are circumstances where you might want to get rid of it, but I wouldn't do that if you're an amateur because you have to look at it all and see oh, is this site messing around? But yeah, so the next thing that would be mentioning is but you could also have a low authority score, and if it's a high trust score and a low authority score, then I would still do it. If it is a medium authority and it's a low trust, they're worth doing. It depends on what the trust score is. If you have a trust score that is, let's say, in the red, which I think it's high, not low. I do this twice a week though, so it's you think I would know, but I just do it so quickly. So a trust score, if the trust score is high, then you're if the trust score is in the red, which is high, it's bad. It's oh no, this thing's a 99, and it will tell you what is wrong with it. Oh, this domain's been de-indexed, aka Google suspended it, or okay, it's done this, it's done that, and it will give you some good idea of what it is. It'll tell you what kind of things they're doing that Google wasn't happy with, or why they think it's low, and usually they're pretty accurate. So 9 times out of 10, when you log on to one of these spam sites that's actually spamming you, like I said, do it for 3 weeks, is you get on there, and what you find is that the domain's deactivated, or you'll find porn. I've had it happen, or you'll find some weird, they'll be talking about whatever you sell, and then it'll go off into shoes and be talking about shoes, and they'll be talking about some new movie that came out, and they'll be talking about the the breeding cycle of a zebra. And it's very clear that it's just a web scraper that just scrapes stuff from all over, and it just happened to scrape that link and plop it there. That's pretty common as well. And then sometimes you'll find a really low trust score that's actually a legitimate site. Maybe they were hacked sometime in the past or something, which you probably want to leave those alone. Those are the exception. If they're a site that should be linking to you, you can just let them be. And that's pretty much the gist of it. So then once you've identified the ones you don't like, you can hit a little button that says click to disavow. It's on the right side. That's why my finger's twirling in the air. But you hit this little button that says click to disavow. And then after you're done, it has this thing called a disavow list. So you go to your disavow list, and it's poof, there we are. And then you export it to a TXT. And then what you need to do is you say Google, you go to Google and you type Google disavow, and you'll get actually these lists of disavowing domains like where you can upload it, and you can't just go to your main domain. So you're gonna have to do the domain level registration. I guess there's like two different ways to register a Google site. The correct way, or the way they like the most, is when you do a registration with your DNS server or whatever, and it's like poof, and you're covering all the variants like HTTPS, HTTP, HTTPS www dot, HTTPS no www, HTTP www dot, and HTTP nothing. So you have those four variants, and so you need to actually make each of them. So there's like two different types of things. You have one that does all of them. It's a whole domain level one that's done through DNS verification. But for disavowing, you actually have to have the old type, which I think you can just put a bit of like a meta tag on the homepage for a moment. Like they'll give you some code to copy, and you just Control V it to your homepage to get it. But I'd recommend doing all four. And the significance of what this does is it's an upload tool, and you go to it, you hit the little upload button, and you get the file SEMrush gives you, plop it on there, save, and you do it to the other three. Once you've done it to all of them, you go back to SEMrush and you say, okay, I've changed it, and it will like update the stats so you can see where your link profile sits. But yeah, that is the gist of a link audit. And so what I've seen, at least in my personal work, is like as I work at this company called DME, and the cool thing I've seen when I'm doing it at DME is we'll jump from, we'll be down to like, oh, we only have 22,000 live results. And how do you do a live result search? Is you go to Google on an incognito browser, Control-Shift-N for Chrome users out there. But basically what you do is you go on there and you type in the site, and then you type your website. And it will show you how many pages you have on the live index. This is just kind of like a thing you can watch semi-regularly and see kind of if you're going up or down. Generally speaking, you'll either be going up slowly or down slowly. Then you look at it at one point, you'd be like, oh, 842, and 925, 1080, 1100. That means things are good. Or it'd be like 11,742, 11,500, 11,300, and you check it like every couple hours. That's bad. That means that your pages are slowly de-indexing. And it's a much softer index than actually what they show you in Search Console. Search Console is more of like, here's what we've fully decided on, where the live index is more of like in between. So if you're getting hit with a link spam attack, especially over multiple weeks, like I do, so the moment I put it in there, it will jump up from like 24,000 pages indexed to 32,000 pages indexed. It's like crazy. And then obviously we see rankings jumps too, actual positions. It's like, there's this one term called ejector pin. I think we were fourth before it, and then we jump up to like second temporarily. And that's kind of like how that goes. It affects both rankings and overall pages ranked. It's like, a thing of site health. I know that John Mueller actually said in one of his things, he said that, oh, you don't need to go disavow those. But honestly, John Mueller says it's best for Google. And, as a search engine optimization specialist, and your job isn't necessarily to do what's best for Google. Your job is to do what's best for your company. And it's not a bad thing for Google. I think they're just giving people they're giving like stupid people advice. If you're talking to a nuclear physicist, hell, let's say you're talking to a physicist, you don't have to explain to them, hey, bombs are bad, and here's what shrapnel is, and here's what this is, here's what that is, and you don't have to explain basic effects. But if you're talking to a bunch of 5-year-olds, at a school thing, it's like, hey, bombs are bad, dude. You know what I mean? Or if you're talking to normal people, it'd be like, oh, explosives are definitely not a thing you want to have anywhere near your house. Follow these 3 simple steps. Call 911 and blah, 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 So, but if you're talking to a physicist, it's like, I don't know, there's just different levels of conversation. So when John Mueller's talking, he's talking just in general to just everyone out there. Not like specialists in SEO, he's talking to just the general people. There are definitely circumstances where, where doing link audits is extremely helpful. And it actually can help you overall. Like, I have to do them about twice a week because we just get hit with so much spam. Like, someone buys domains and they point them at us, and it's just like, ugh, a lot of cleaning. But it's worth it in the long run. If it keeps us higher ranked and more consistently, then yeah, less money spent on ads.